The Panzerkampfwagen II Luchs is a German light tank from the Second World War, developed between 1940 and 1942 by Daimler-Benz and MAN. The Luchs was the only Panzer II design with the Schachtellaufwerk overlapping interleaved road wheels and slack track configuration to enter series production, with 100 being built from September 1943 to January 1944 in addition to the conversion of the 4 Ausf tanks. Originally given the experimental designation VK 13.03, it was adopted under the alternate name Panzerspähwagen II and given the popular name Luchs. The Luchs was larger than the Panzer II Ausf G in most dimensions. With a 6-speed transmission, it could reach a speed of 60 km per hour with a range of 260 km. 330 rounds of 20 mm and 2,250 rounds of 7.92 mm ammunition were carried. In the summer of 1938, German manufacturing firms Daimler-Benz and MAN began developing a new reconnaissance tank under the VK 9.01 index. This tank was positioned as a development of Panzer II, but in fact it was a brand new machine. The chassis with the overlapping wheel arrangement of the support links consisted of 5 links on both sides. The tank was powered by a 150 horsepower Maybach HL45 engine that allowed the 10.5-ton tank to reach a top speed of 50 km per hour. On April 15, 1939, Daimler-Benz and MAN were ordered to design a 13-ton reconnaissance tank designated VK 13.01. The tank was adopted by the Wehrmacht under the name Panzerkampfwagen II Ausf. The box-shaped welded hull was divided into 3 compartments. In the front of the hull there was a mechanic driver and a radio operator. The front armor was 30 mm of steel. The sides of the hull was 20 mm. The rear was also 20 mm. The roof and bottom of the hull had only 10 mm of armor. The tank's weight was 11.8 tons. In some tank divisions, the frontal armor of the tank was reinforced with additional 20 mm armor plates. Serial production began in September 1943 and continued until February 1944. Only 100 Panzer II Luchs were produced in total, all manufactured by MAN. A total of only 100 2-cm vehicles were produced, but not a single tank with a 50 mm gun was produced. The MAN company was not able to fulfill the order completely, as it was producing the Panther tank. The Luchs were to enter service with armored reconnaissance detachments, which were made up of 4 platoons of 7 Luchs, and 1 in the company HQ. There were also 4 SD KFZ 250 light half-track armored personnel carriers, 1 SD KFZ 9 heavy half-track, and 7 SD KFZ 2 Kettenkrad half-track motorcycles. The Luchs troops began to enter in the autumn of 1942. The first new tanks were received by the 2nd Company of the 4th Reconnaissance Battalion of the 4th Panzer Division. On September 26, 1943, the company was disbanded, and the remaining tanks were sent to the factory for repairs. Not all tanks returned from it. Some were left off. Later, the company was recreated as the 1st Company of the 9th Reconnaissance Battalion of the 9th Panzer Division. It reached combat readiness by March 1944. This time it consisted of 25 tanks, 1 HQ and 6 in each of the 4 platoons. These tanks did not reach the Eastern Front. First combat use was in France in June 1944. The remaining assembled tanks were either later transferred to the specified units for additional recruitment or distributed piece by piece to other units. One of the few operations in which the Luchs took part on a massive scale was the Operation Citadel. In its course, by August 17, 1943, only 5 tanks remained in an operational state in the 2nd Tank Reconnaissance Company. By September 1st, out of 29 vehicles, 10 remained in the company in one form or another. In these formations the Luchs were used until the end of World War II. Of the original 100 Panzer II Luchs, there are only 2 surviving today: Musée de Blindés in Saumur and Bovington Tank Museum.